Hello, everyone. Hello, Lindsay.
Hello, Katharine.
Hello. Good morning, and hello, David, Vida, and Leona. Lovely to see you.
Hi, Katharine.
So here we are on International Women's Day, and I am delighted to be doing this interview with my business partner, Linzi, together with our Bob partners, David, Vida, and Leona, who are also business partners, and Vida and Leona are wife. Sorry. Sorry about that. It's International Women's Day today, and we're going to interview you and ask you some questions. And I'm going to hand over to Linzi to ask the first question.
So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for everybody, wherever you are in the world. We've been having lots of different interviews this morning. And as you heard from Katharine, this is all for us around one word, which is unity. And the reason why we go into the space of unity is because it sits at the heart of everything that we do at Bob. And what we talk about is that in every relationship and in every business, you have the female energy that sits inside at the heart of everyone. And that female energy plays out in all. And we've interviewed Tim and Jackie this morning, who was in Australia, and they were all about business that they had worked together for 17 years and been married. I just interviewed Gina and her brother Mel, and that was all about the brother-sister relationship. And now, as Katharine just said, it really is about partnership. And we wanted to celebrate partnership from all sides and look at how does partnering play out in our life from all different sides. And so first off, I'm going to come to you, Vida, because Vida, you are the lady that when I spoke on stage, and I'm going to go back to Sam Smith, who is a dear friend of mine and ours, and Sam Smith is in the Bob community. And I was on stage with Sam, and I was invited to talk on that stage. I don't know if you remember, and it was all around the female energy side of things. And I spoke on that stage about unity. And I spoke about the fact that I had in my life, I had a man at work that was Darren, who picked up a lot of balls for me and was the kind of business husband. And I had my husband at home who also picked up a lot of balls for me. And between the two of them, they were juggling a lot of balls because, I was a lady who worked in a space that was juggling family and life and so forth. And the relationship that I had in the partnership space was that. And then afterwards, you came up to me and we had a beautiful conversation. Do you remember?
I do. I found you completely.
And so I wanted to introduce you first, Vida. And I first off wanted to acknowledge and celebrate you as a partner. And the moment that you came and spoke with me was the moment that I actually rang Katharine and said, I've met this lady, Vida, and I really feel like there's something with Vida that's going to be a part of our life and a partner. So I wondered if you could kick off with that female energy translation that went between the two of us. Yeah. And what does it mean for you? Because you have your two partners on either side of you on my screen. You have David and you have Leona, and they are both partners. Leona is your wife and David is your business partner, and Leona is your business partner as well. Yeah. Talk to me about the word partnership and what does that mean?
Oh, wow. I mean, you've thrown so much into that. Yeah. Fangirled you on stage. I'd bought your book. I had Brand Famous. In fact, I had 4 copies of Brand Famous sitting in the office, one for me, and I'd put lots of copies of your book around everywhere. And I'd said to everybody, look, if we're ever stuck, this is inspirational stuff. Read this book. And then Leona and I had been to the Sam Smith. We'd been invited into the Ambitious Leadership Program. And we were sitting in the audience, kept nudging Leona going, I've got her book. So actually afterwards, I did that thing of coming up to you and saying, oh my God, your book is inspirational, whatever. You and I immediately were chatting, and I think we both kind of like connected on the same wavelength because it was immediately about the energy and all the different kinds of things. Inspiration was the big thing for me. And I guess for me, I've always wanted to have partnerships that are about inspiration and about how they've just driven me forward. So yeah, thank you for reminding me that I fangirled you, because that's I do tell people that I fangirled you and then followed you around everywhere. It's just a nice experience to meet like-minded people. And I loved the energy, what you're talking about. I guess, you know, look, I've always been in a male-dominated environment in my career. From the minute I joined my working career, I've always been in a male-dominated environment. So for me, my journeys to partnership was always about having to assert myself as a businesswoman, really. I always say to people, firstly, I'm a human being. Secondly, I'm a woman. And then thirdly, you know, the fact that I was gay was kind of like not my issue. My issue was that I was a woman in a male-dominated world. That was the most important thing for me. So, you know, partnerships that you make going through your life are really, really important. And I've known David, are we allowed to say? I've known you 30, 40 years, 30 years.
Wow.
I know. And we've
Wild.
yeah, we've worked in different kind of structures together all of that life. So when it came to sort of like picking partners, I loved the energy of Bob, Linzi. When you first introduced it to me, the concept, I was like blown away. And it was really lovely for me then to introduce Bob to David and to Leona. And also it fit really nicely in what we're doing. And yeah, look, we are a strong partnership, the three of us. We've all got different assets that we bring together. And we all bring a side to the business that the business wouldn't flourish, I don't think, without the combination of our three personalities and our combination of our three skills. So yeah, it's nice to meet you that day. I don't regret a second.
Oh,
That's good to hear. Yeah, no, I wanted to ask you as well. Talk to me about what International Women's Day kind of means to you, because you are, as Vida said, you are this formidable partnership, the three of you, with a fantastic business. But I know that you've all got incredible skills outside of what you do day to day as well. So I think I just wanted to hear a little bit from you about that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Well, International Women's Day is hugely important to us, and you're probably aware within Focus 7, our business, we celebrate it every year, and because we do have a lot of senior. Oh, I'm sorry, the dog is barking. Isn't that typical? But when this is what happens, isn't it? But look, this year, International Women's Day is all about women in leadership. And, I've been in leadership roles. I'm an army officer. That's my background. I spent nearly a year at Sandhurst, at the Royal Military Academy, Sandhurst, learning leadership and management. And, been to the Defence Academies, studying that from an advanced perspective. So I've certainly been in a man's world for all of my career. I did 21 years as a full-time regular Army officer, and the last 10 years as a reservist. I'm now Colonel Commandant with the Army Cadet Force. So women in leadership has been a massive part of my life, and that balance and that unity of female in a male world, and how that comes across and you make that work is really, really important. But for me, women in leadership is all about inclusive leadership. It's all about, and this is why David is such a strong ally for us. He has been fantastic to be as a business partner, is that balance of us working together and making sure that we have equality, diversity and inclusion across everything that we do. And I've done a lot of work in that, as you know, over the years. And I'm really honoured to have been awarded the Institute Director's Director of the Year for Inclusivity in 2019, and the Soldiering On Awards for my lifelong work for inclusivity with defence. I was awarded last year. And bringing that to Focus 7, our business really makes sure that we put our values first. And that's, for me, I think International Women's Day represents all of that. It's if you remember, it's the balance. Balance is better for everyone. That was the the theme for previous years, and I think that equal is good for everybody. And Vida and I have actually we're life founding members of the Women's Equality Party when it first started out, because we really wanted to help and support equality of opportunity. And making sure that there's equal representation, similar to what the United Nations are looking at with their International Women's Day, is that there's got to be a balance where everywhere, business, politics, judiciary, everything better represents the other 50% of the business of the world, and is represented in the world.
Thank you. Could I bring a question to David now? Because David, look, we have a massive belief in our business around this female energy that lives in all, and this unity piece, which is the highest spiritual context that you can get to. If we can get into a space of unity where we are all one, we all recognize that we are one from the same source, and we're all, then you come at it from everybody is equal on the same playing field. I wanted to know, in your perspective, because when I look at our business and I look at, we have, many different men and women working together, and I do feel there is a real unity piece that sits inside of Bob. And I recognize the same thing when I look at Focus 7 and I look at how you work with Vida and Leona. Could you talk to me about that inside the business, and what do you think the elements are around the unity piece that make it work for the three of you, from bringing your female energy in, from bringing their male energy in, as well as their female energy in, and vice versa? How does that work together?
Yeah, hi. Nice to see you. Thank you for inviting me on.
You too, David. To see you, nice.
Thank you. And I'm hoping you can hear me okay, because my internet's not great and you've all been a little bit Dalek-y. So
you're good. You're fine.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's really interesting when you talk about the male energy and the female energy, because this was the thing that I was pondering, is what is male energy and what is female energy? Because when I look at the three of us, in some ways, if you think of the female energy as being the kind of nurturing, empathic, gentle, and male energy is more aggressive and forceful and everything. Well, you wouldn't, if you took the three of us, you wouldn't necessarily then pick out me as having the male energy and Vida and Leona as having the female energy, because, as you can imagine, when tough things need doing, tough leaders do them. It doesn't really matter whether you're male or female.
Absolutely.
And I think for me, it's I find the whole conversation quite hard, hard to get my head around, because I just look at people as people. And this is something that I think with Vida and Leona, why we've always got on so well, is because I don't think of them as women leaders or gay leaders. I just think of them as leaders.
Exactly.
And for me, that's International Women's Day is about celebrating the fact that women can work in businesses, in the military, in politics, in journalism, in all areas of life. Women have now got the ability to compete, hopefully, on a level playing field with men. That's the unity to me. It's the fact that we are all the same. I mean, the gender is almost irrelevant, and that's how I see it. And if you look at Focus 7 as a company, we're a dozen people, and I'm the only man in the company. But it's just because the women that are in the roles that they're in are the best people for the jobs. And so I've never understood companies that would say, well, that job can't go to a woman, that has to go to me. I've never understood it. It's alien to me. So I guess that's where I come from.
I think it's alien to all of us, actually. I mean, Leona and we've always done skills-based interviews. We've always tried to get the best person for the job. And it's interesting that David was saying, I think I used to get told that I had more balls than the men in the company. And that, our Vida, she's got golden balls and she's got balls. And it's just like, no, I'm not frightened to make a decision. And I'm not frightened to do the task that needs to be done. And the fact that at the time, the only female in a leadership position within my previous FTSE company, people just thought that I had to be something else other than just be myself to do the job that I've done. And that is just be a fearless leader. But it was always for me about people first. And it's interesting. It's an interesting topic.
It
is. And it's funny as well how things work out, because Vida and I knew each other in our previous roles. We were working in the business supplies industry, which is at one level very dominated by women, another level very dominated by men, which is quite odd. But I think that the reason that Vida and I connected, we were on different sides of the supply chain. And when I needed honest answers and when I needed authenticity in the relationship, I always went to Vida, because other people that I used to speak to would just tell me what they thought I wanted to hear rather than telling me the truth. And so it was the authenticity and the trust, and the belief that someone was actually, you know, doing what they said they were doing and telling it the way that it really was. That's what connected with us. And that's why when it came to going into business together, we were happy to go into business together as partners. And Leona, exactly the same. You know, you know what you're getting. It is what it says on the tin, and that authenticity is the really important thing.
I was going to pick up on, thank you, David. I agree with you on that. Authenticity is really important. One of the things that we have been talking about today at Bob is putting a spotlight on the kind of the women that inspire us and have inspired us. And I was listening to all of you speak, and in particular you, Vida, just a minute ago, and you were talking about your career and how you got here, and for you as well, Leona. And I just wondered if you could touch on, you know, who would you spotlight? Where is that inspiration? Who have been the strong kind of women for all of you to get you where you are now, as successful as you are?
Oh, wow. Do you want to go first, Leona?
Okay, yeah, that's a great question. Well, personally, I have to give a shout out to my nan, my grandmother, who, you know, born in 1920 and sort of, you know, just coming out of the Depression, and then during the war was a nurse, and married my granddad, and they went off. He was RAF, and they went off overseas to Ceylon, actually Sri Lanka, with two little children, and he was going off doing stuff, and she then ended up being a code breaker for the Navy while she was there, still growing up, bringing up the two children. So fantastic, you know, fantastic role model, my nan. She was really strong, independent woman who always said to me, you know, always be true to yourself. And I always, you know, you should always listen to your nan, shouldn't you? But other than that, you know, I think that we're in a completely different space now with female role models. Whereas I think when I was growing up, you know, it was difficult to see female role models that were hugely successful, because we didn't necessarily have that information. Whereas now we celebrate the history, or the herstory, if you want to say, of women. You know, we have a lot of action being taken to make sure we celebrate everybody that has achieved great things that perhaps wasn't necessarily as visible 40 or so years ago. So I think that we should all dig into the history and find all the female sheroes out there, and keep celebrating that. So I think there's a whole raft of people we can celebrate now.
I actually I'm a bit like Leona. Actually, I'm very lucky in my life. I'm surrounded by a strong tribe of women. I had a really inspiring grandmother too. She was a writer, and she used to be in the writer's circle with Joyce Grenfell and people like that. You know, she was a warden in the Second World War, and she did lots of kind of like firsts in her life. And then I guess also my mum, you know, she was a massive inspiration for me as well, bringing up 3 kids on her own at home and all that kind of stuff. But you know, Leona's right. When you're going up through your professional career, it's really hard to find those inspirational models. We got asked this question a few years back, and I did pop in there Oprah Winfrey, because I just loved the fact that when you start to look into her history and the strength of her as an individual. But I want to say, Katharine, that it's not just strong women. I actually have to say that there's been a couple of really good strong male models in my life who gave me an inspiration as I was coming up. And I was very lucky to have a coach and mentor. And he looked at me and he said to me one day, he said, Vida, only do what only you can do. And if you're doing what somebody else can do, then let them do it. So my inspiration all through my life was to focus on doing what only I could do. And then using that kind of like internal power to do it. But as I've got into later life, I've met fantastic business people. I mean, I'm not just going to say it because Linzi's on here, you know. Meeting Linzi was really great, because meeting a like-minded person who was driven on purpose and values, and, you know, actually believed in finding the heart of businesses and making sure that it was about the heart of business coming forward. I'd spent my whole life in my footsie career putting my heart into things, and everyone telling me I was an emotional woman. But actually I was just passionate about that delivery. And since then, I've met incredible business people. You know, we've met them in the last 2 years. I've been inspired by lots and lots of business women that I've met. And it's most probably been in the last 5 or 10 years that the strong female entrepreneurs have come to the forefront for me. But yeah, same thing really. Big strong tribe of women in my family.
Thank you, Vida. And and looping it back to the beginning of the interview where I said that I was on a stage, I was talking about unity, and I reflected on that when coming to do this interview with you today, because I thought about the fact that the journey that we've been on since meeting you on that stage and being able to actually have that exchange of relationship, and how we are now going through a journey together, and it comes from a space when you're able to speak authentically about who you are, what you stand for, what you want to be known for, and actually how you want to show up in the world.
Yeah, no, it's really important. I think actually when Fiona and David talk about the business, we in our business, it's about, we've been helping clients through our passion and sharing that. When you come on and you find things like Bob and Bob Earth and this whole community of people who are driven by passion and purpose, and that's that energy, suddenly you kind of like find that your business connects. It connected the dots for us about the fact that we were on the right track. We were actually building the right kind of business, and that we just had to literally push that energy more forward. So it was great. It was great. It was a great combination of things.
So before we wrap up, I've got a key question that I want to ask each one of you for like a 1 word or a 1 sentence answer. And that is, we've just been through a pandemic and a recession, and now still going through it. And who knows how long the journey is going to be. And obviously life as we know it will be something different moving forward. And I often feel like people forget to celebrate the moments and the moments of looking back. And people often look back and they go, oh, we could have done that differently, or that could have changed, and actually I wondered if you could have a celebration for us and celebrate the moment, celebrate what is it that you look back on and go, it's this moment in time, this thing that I look on and think, oh, that's where we're going to move forward to. Just a 1 word or a 1 sentence answer. And I'll give that to all 3 of you just to think about and celebrate the moment and where we're moving to next.
Wow. Who wants to go first? David, you go first.
David, you go first. We'll do it in a line. David, Vida, Leona.
Yeah.
Is he frozen? No.
Yeah, a little bit.
Sorry. I've lost everybody.
No, you're back. Why don't we start?
Vida.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there was this moment for me in the pandemic. There was a real defining moment for me in the pandemic, which was fight or flight, stay or go, run or not. And I think we decided to fight. And that moment happened for me when we jumped into the L&D groups and into the webinars. But if I spotlight and highlight it, I guess there's the big moment for me was that in our team particularly, we've got a lot of working mums. And that moment when they all just decided to help us with the business, they all volunteered for furlough, they all stepped in, they all drove forward. So yeah, my defining moment was literally last April, May, Lindsay, when we took a new journey. And since then, I feel like we've been riding the way to success, taking that journey with a community of other businesses, like-minded businesses. That was a defining moment for me.
Gina Muller said the same, Vida.
Yeah.
That's what Gina said.
Defining moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've lost David. Sorry, I think he's
lost him, unfortunately.
Yeah, but no, for me, I agree with Vida. Absolutely, it makes you reflect on where you are and where you're going from a business and personally. And we've always put our team first. We've always been really strong with looking after and valuing our staff. I think what this the lockdowns really and the furlough periods has given us is the opportunity to really concentrate on their well-being. And what I think for me has been, I would celebrate completely, is having the time and the space to actually put in place really strong well-being and welfare and personnel and HR systems and build on what we already had. And we have a catch up. We just had one this morning with everybody. And we've just really, I think, pulled together much more as a team, weirdly, remotely. And remote leadership is really difficult for, everybody knows that. But I think that's been fantastic. And it's building on what Vida has said, really, is that all of our fantastic staff have wanted to help and support us and work with us. We're all doing it together. And I think it's from us as the business owners, we've been able to give back to them an opportunity to have probably more support. We put lots of systems in place and, managed to get lots of tools that they can use and utilize. And it's the individual welfare and the care, I think, that we've all given each other as a team within Focus 7 has been brilliant. That's been my highlight of this year.
That theme of coming together has really come out for me today on all of the interviews, people talking about how they come together, and that is what we'll celebrate. That, we might be kind of local, but actually we've opened the world up through Zoom, and actually we have become a real community.
And you guys helped us get into a community this year. And these last 12, 18 months, being part of the Bob community, that has been massive. That has been massive. We've made new friends, new collaborations, new partnerships. We've had a sense of, myself and David particularly, because Leona's let us get on with it, we had a sense of belonging. That's been overriding for us. We belonged to something powerful that was moving things forward. So, that was great.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much for coming and celebrating International Women's Day with us, and thank you for being part of the community, because actually without you and without the people that are in the community, then we don't grow, because when the community comes together, we all grow together.
Yeah. Thank you
so much.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you for having us.
Happy with